In 2022, the average American lost $34,000 from their retirement accounts. The same year, one company made $17.9 billion in profit. Coincidence? Think again. While your 401k collapsed, this company's assets under management hit $10 trillion for the first time in history. That's more wealth than Germany's entire economy. Controlled by a single corporation? But here's what the financial media won't tell you. This company doesn't just manage money, it votes the shares of Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. It decides corporate policy for companies you use every day. It influences the government officials who set your taxes. And right now, it's executing the largest residential real estate buying spree in American history. Cash offers, above asking price, no inspection needed. Your dream home? They bought it to rent back to you. You think China owns America's debt? China holds $1 trillion. This company controls $10 trillion. You've been worried about the wrong threat. While politicians distract you with foreign enemies, a domestic entity has been quietly purchasing your future, using the money from your own retirement account. But who are they? How did they amass this power? And why is nobody in government stopping them? The truth will shatter everything you thought you knew about American capitalism. Hit subscribe, because what we're about to expose is happening right now, with your money, in your neighborhood, and the people responsible are betting you'll never figure it out. BlackRock. Remember that name. Founded in 1988 by Larry Fink, a former bond trader who saw opportunity in everyone else's disasters. Today, BlackRock manages $10.6 trillion globally. To put that in perspective, that's larger than the GDP of the United States, more than Japan and Germany combined, equivalent to half the world's annual economic output, all controlled by one CEO. But money is just the beginning. BlackRock owns massive stakes in 7.5% of Apple, worth $175 billion, 7.1% of Microsoft, $170 billion, 6.2% of Amazon, $85 billion. When they vote, these companies listen. When Apple changed its privacy policy, BlackRock influenced that decision. When Microsoft shifted to cloud computing, BlackRock was behind the strategy. When Amazon expanded into healthcare, BlackRock pushed for it. But there's something even more powerful than owning stocks. They own the algorithm that predicts the future. Meet Aladdin. BlackRock's risk management system processes 200 million calculations per week. It analyzes $21.6 trillion in global assets. That's not just BlackRock's money. That's money from pension funds, insurance companies, central banks, sovereign wealth funds. Aladdin doesn't just track markets. It predicts them. Every major financial institution uses BlackRock's system to make investment decisions, which means BlackRock sees every major trade before it happens. But here's the terrifying part. When everyone uses the same algorithm, they all make the same decisions. And when 50% of the market moves in the same direction, markets crash or explode, depending on what Larry Fink decides. But Aladdin isn't just about markets, it's about control. And that control extends far beyond Wall Street. The government revolving door. Brian Dees, BlackRock's global head of sustainable investing, became Biden's National Economic Council director. Mike Pyle, BlackRock's chief investment strategist, became Kamala Harris's chief economist. Wally Adeyemo, BlackRock's senior advisor, became deputy treasury secretary. This isn't lobbying, this is occupation. When COVID hit, who did the Federal Reserve call to manage emergency lending programs? BlackRock. Who designed the corporate bond buying program that saved Wall Street? BlackRock. Who got paid $24.95 million to manage the bailouts? BlackRock. They didn't just profit from the crisis, they designed the response. But there's one more revelation that will make you question everything. Because BlackRock's real strategy isn't about making money, it's about reshaping society. The ESG weapon, environmental, social, and governance scores. Sounds harmless, right? Wrong. BlackRock uses ESG to control corporate behavior across the entire economy. High ESG score, access to BlackRock's capital. Low ESG score, financial exile. Since BlackRock is the largest shareholder in most major companies, their ESG demands become corporate law. Want to drill for oil? ESG violation. Want to question climate policies? ESG violation. Want to prioritize profits over politics? ESG violation. In 2021, BlackRock forced ExxonMobil to elect 3 climate activists to its board. They use shareholder power to override management decisions. This isn't capitalism. This is social engineering. But the housing market is where their plan gets truly sinister, because they're not just changing how companies operate, they're changing how Americans live. The housing takeover. Since 2020, BlackRock and affiliated funds have purchased over 200,000 single-family homes, all cash, above asking price, instant closings. Why? Because they're converting the American dream from ownership to subscription. In Atlanta, BlackRock-affiliated investors bought 90% of homes sold in certain neighborhoods. In Phoenix, they outbid individual buyers on 40% of available properties. In Tampa, average home prices increased 30% after institutional buying began. The strategy is simple: buy entire neighborhoods with cash, convert to rental properties, eliminate local ownership, control housing costs permanently. Young families can't compete with billion-dollar cash offers, so they become permanent renters to the same company that destroyed their ability to buy. But housing is just the test run. The real target is much bigger. The digital control grid, central bank digital currency, coming to America by 2026. While you're worried about inflation, BlackRock is building the infrastructure for digital dollars. Every transaction tracked, every purchase monitored, every financial decision controlled. BlackRock's FedNow partnership with the Federal Reserve isn't just about efficiency, it's about surveillance. In a CBDC system, cash disappears, privacy dies, programmable money controls behavior. Buy too much gas? Transaction denied. Purchase from unapproved vendors? Account frozen. Donate to wrong political candidates? Financial exile. BlackRock doesn't just want to manage your money, they want to control how you spend it. And with their government connections, they're building the system to do exactly that. But there's one final piece to this puzzle, the piece that reveals their ultimate endgame: the stakeholder capitalism fraud. Larry Fink's annual letters to CEOs, read by every Fortune 500 executive, treated like orders from a financial god. In these letters, Fink doesn't discuss profits or returns. He discusses social transformation. 2020, climate change will reshape finance. 2021, companies must serve all stakeholders. 2022, capitalism must evolve beyond profit. Translation: use corporate power to implement policies voters would never approve. This isn't free market capitalism. This is stakeholder capitalism, where unelected corporate leaders decide social policy. And BlackRock sits at the center, using their shareholding power to force compliance. They've turned the stock market into a social control mechanism. Every company must follow their agenda or lose access to capital. Every CEO must prioritize their values over shareholder returns. Every corporation becomes a tool for social engineering. But why is nobody stopping them? Because the people with the power to stop them work for them. The regulatory capture: Gary Gensler, SEC chairman. Previous job: teaching at MIT, where BlackRock funds multiple programs. Janet Yellen, Treasury Secretary. Speaking fees from BlackRock: $810,000 in 2019 to 2020. Jerome Powell, Federal Reserve Chairman. BlackRock's role in Fed policy: essential partner in crisis management. The agencies supposed to regulate BlackRock are run by people who owe their careers to BlackRock. This isn't just regulatory capture. This is regulatory surrender. When the most powerful financial institution writes the rules for its own regulation, the system isn't broken. The system is working exactly as designed, to serve BlackRock. But here's the most terrifying realization. This is just the beginning. The 2030 vision. By 2030, BlackRock projects they'll manage $15 trillion. That's more than the GDP of the United States and China combined. Controlled by a single company. Their roadmap is clear: control corporate governance through shareholding power, reshape social policy through ESG mandates, eliminate home ownership through institutional buying, monitor all transactions through CBDC infrastructure, influence government policy through regulatory capture. The endgame? A world where you own nothing, control nothing, and decide nothing. Where a single algorithm determines your access to housing, employment, and capital. Where your financial life is managed by the same entity that owns your employer, your bank, and your government's debt. This isn't capitalism. This isn't socialism. This is algorithmic feudalism. And Larry Fink is the king, the ultimate question. So who really owns America's debt? Not China, not the government, BlackRock. Through direct holdings, proxy ownership, and systemic control, they don't just own the debt, they own the system that created the debt. They own the companies that profit from the debt. They own the government officials who manage the debt. And they're using your retirement money to buy your freedom. The most brilliant trap ever conceived, you're paying for your own enslavement. Every 401k contribution strengthens the system designed to control you. Every pension payment funds the algorithm that will govern your future. Every investment dollar builds the cage that will contain your children. And the most terrifying part? It's probably too late to stop it. If this investigation revealed the greatest financial deception in American history, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because in our next expose, how BlackRock's AI is already predicting your behavior, controlling your choices, and determining your future. The mind control technology that makes Cambridge Analytica look like a kindergarten experiment. Subscribe now, because in a world where algorithms control reality, understanding the system is your only defense. The game isn't rigged against you. You are the game.